Today I'm going to show you exactly why following a caloric deficit, why you're just being in a deficit doesn't bring you results, right? Why maybe you followed a deficit, you started seeing a little bit of progress, then all of a sudden the progress has stopped, you've hit a plateau, and you just don't have the physique that you hope for, right? You have this idea of going into a deficit, coming out looking muscular, looking shredded, and the exact same thing actually applies to following a caloric surplus, right? There are guys that will follow like 2,500 calories and they will look super lean, super shredded, and then there'll be other guys that are following the exact same deficit but just end up looking skinny fat, and it can be extremely frustrating, right? You ask yourself, like, I'm putting in all of this damn work, but I just don't have the results that are showing for it, right? And if this cycle continues, this lack of progress, not seeing that progress every single week, it is going to be extremely demotivating, okay? And at the end of the day, that's what's going to make you lose motivation. And there's one simple thing which is stopping you. There's one thing that separates guys that are sitting on 2,500 calories, this is obviously an example, who are looking lean, shredded, have more flexibility, and those who are following the exact same caloric deficit, but just end up looking skinny fat, or they've hit a plateau and they aren't seeing any progress. And that is because of insulin sensitivity. I'm going to hop into a Miro board and I'm going to show you a diagram of exactly what happens when you're resistant to insulin and when you're insulin sensitive, and what a crazy difference it makes. How much more flexibility, how much more progress you're going to see once you maximize that insulin sensitivity. Let's get into it. Exactly what this looks like in a Miro board so you can better understand why, even though you've been following a deficit, right? Even though you've been eating clean, you've been going to the gym, you're still looking skinny fat rather than muscular. So let's look at it. Let's say you're eating 2,500 calories. Okay, you've been following this deficit for a while. It's the same food, it's the same shit, but now all of a sudden your progress has stopped. You have hit a plateau. Your body has adapted, and most importantly, you are resistant to insulin. I'm going to tell you the difference between someone who is sensitive to insulin and someone who is insulin resistant, where their body is no longer working for them. So as you can see here, this is what I actually look like at around 240 pounds. And this is AI, okay? I always AI to make me skinny fat at around 240 pounds. Look at the difference in that, right? Look at how shitty that looks. Even though someone eating 2,500 calories, eating clean, showing up, can still look like that. And that is because they are resistant to insulin. So their body has now stopped responding the way that it should. So this is how it goes down. Okay, both these people, insulin sensitive and insulin resistant, are eating 2,500 calories. They're eating clean, right? They're training, they're going to the gym, they've got the exact same behaviors, but there's a complete different internal response. This is what happens to those calories, right? The fats, the proteins, and the carbs. With someone who is insulin sensitive, that literally gets shuttled straight to the muscle, right? Where it's going to be stored as glycogen, where it's going to be used as fuel. That's where you're going to have that energy, you're going to have that drive, or it's going to be used to build muscle tissue, okay? That is when those carbs shuttle exactly where you want them to go. Now, when this happens, you're going to see consistent progress every single week. You will never hit a damn plateau again as long as you stay insulin sensitive. You're going to be highly motivated because now all of that hard work that you're putting in, all of those hours in the gym, all of that eating clean is finally going to pay off, and you're not going to feel stuck anymore. You're going to have peace of mind in what you're knowing is actually working, okay? You're going to have balance and flexibility because when you're insulin sensitive, you can afford to have a cheat meal here and a cheat meal there, and it's not going to affect you, right? Let me give you an example of this. Like, if I have a pizza, if I go eat a pizza now, which is packed with sodium, packed with carbohydrates, my body responds to it in a way that it just gets shuttled straight to the muscle. I will get a pump. Literally, my veins will be swollen the next day, and I will wake up looking leaner and fuller. Because when you have carbs, when you have sodium, it pulls in water as well. But here's the thing. When I have carbs and sodium, that water gets shuttled to the muscle as well. So it makes my muscles look even fuller, right? Even harder. Now, you're going to have confidence because now you finally have that physique that you've been working so hard to get, okay? So many guys have been on this journey where they're just like training, exercising, training, and they've got like a somewhat decent physique, like, but it's not quite there, and they still don't have the confidence to take their shirt off in public. They still aren't fully confident within themselves because they know that they are capable of so much more. And that's just me for years. Years I spent doing this, right? I was in a decent shape, like I had a decent physique, but I still didn't want to take my shirt off in public. Right? I would wear t-shirts and it would make my arms look pretty good. But as soon as I lifted up my shirt, I would have this like stubborn like bubble here. And I didn't like that, right? It looked pretty stiff, I'm not gonna lie. You're gonna get your return on investment. Okay. So again, all of that hard work that you put in, it's gonna pay off. Okay. Now let's go through what it looks like if you're sitting at 240 pounds and you're resistant to insulin. Eating clean, same behavior, different response. Instead, of those proteins, fats, and carbohydrates shuttling to the muscle where it's going to be used for energy and muscle growth, your body's like, you know, I'm sorry, I can't take up anymore. I don't want to take up anymore. I'm resisting the insulin. I don't want it. Okay. And insulin is going to be the key that allows those carbs, fats, and proteins to go into that muscle cell, glucose especially. Now, what tends to happen is because your muscles aren't absorbing that anymore, you've got a bunch of blood, sugar, you know, just flowing in your blood, glucose flowing in your blood, and you can't have that. Now your body has to do something with it. So first place it's going to go to is going to go straight to the liver. Okay. When it's at the liver, that glycogen gets filled up very quickly. So now your body has to do something with it. What is it going to do? It is now going to store it as fat. Okay. That is when you start to accumulate fat. It tends to happen viscerally, so inside, but then again around the abdomen. That's why if you've ever like, when you have been on a fat loss journey, right, and you end up looking skinny fat, that last bit of fat is always around that midsection there that doesn't want to go, or the love handles, they just don't want to leave. And that's because you aren't responding the way that your body should. Okay. It doesn't matter if you're eating clean. It doesn't matter if you're going to the gym. It's just not going to happen, unfortunately. Right. So fat storage. And if you start getting worse, like this is now if you aren't eating clean, right? And you just continue accumulating fat, you become more and more resistant to insulin. This is when you start going closer to type 2 by diabetes. Okay. That is how that is formed because your body is no longer responding the way that it should. Insulin is one of the most important hormones in the body, right? And this is because of poor nutrient partitioning. Okay. So remember, calories are just a source of energy, and your body is going to use it in a specific way. Once again, it's going to utilize that energy, or it's going to store it as fat. It doesn't know what to do with it. And that is where that fat storage comes. That's when you start feeling sluggish, right? That's when you start having the sugar cravings during the day. That is when you start like being lethargic, tired, just not driven, unmotivated. And this is also going to affect your hormones, right? By affecting your hormones, that means that again, you're not going to pick up muscle tissue. You're going to have mood swings. You're going to feel shitty. It's that simple. Okay. Now, when you do this, this is when you get those plateaus for months. And literally, I've heard it for even years. Okay. You get fluctuations in weight. Like if you've been eating clean and then all of a sudden you're going to have that pizza, you're going to go have that cheat meal, boom, you just picked up 5 to 10 pounds overnight. That's because now, instead of when you're sensitive to insulin, those fats, those carbs, the sodium, and the water doesn't get pulled into the actual muscle where it makes your muscle belly sit nice and full. No, it sits in between the muscle and the skin. That's why you get that like soft, podgy, watery kind of look. Like, and the next day, and it's just gonna kill your motivation, right? Because let's say you've been grinding and you just like you drop 2 pounds in that week and you're like feeling good about yourself and you step on that scale, you're like, yes, this is working. Boom, next week you had a cheat meal and your 5 pounds goes up. That's going to demotivate the shit out of you. You're going to start looking skinny fat. You're going to start doubting what you're doing is even working. And unfortunately, this usually leads to you giving up. You saying, you know, I've tried this, I've tried that, but you haven't maximized your insulin sensitivity. Okay. So that is the solution, is maximizing insulin sensitivity. And you're going to do this by going through the priming and the depletion phase. In the insulin recomp, my method that I've created, there are 4 different phases. The first phase is the priming phase. The second phase is the depletion phase. The third phase is the lean growth phase, because now you've primed your physique to literally just start pushing food in. And you can start pushing the calories up, having the cheat meal here, having the cheat meal there, and it's just going to benefit you. Whereas now, if you have a cheat meal, it's just going to be detrimental. It's not going to work in your favor. Okay. So the priming and depletion phase, these are the 2 most important phases. I've had so many guys come to me and join the program, and their biggest thing is all they want to do is pick up lean mass, but they just end up picking up fat in the process. And again, start looking skinny fat. Okay. And that is so demotivating because these guys are working their asses off. But it's not about how hard you work. It's about how smart you work. And it's physiology. It's how your body literally takes the food and uses it. That's why you get some guys that like eat 6,000 calories and they just stay super lean all year round. You know, you got that one friend, that one dude, or that one family member that just goes balls flipping to the walls, goes crazy during Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, and absolutely nothing happens. And you have like 3 pieces of, you know, sneaky treats and you feel like shit the absolute next day. It's because your body's not working for you. So when you go through the priming and the depletion phase, you need to lock in your macro splits, right? A macro split is so important because every single one of us are different. Every single one of us are in a different section of our journey. Every single one of us are currently responding differently to insulin. So you need to go through the primary depletion phase. Okay. I've had so many guys come to me whose main goal is to build lean mass. But anytime they do this, they just end up picking up fat in the process. Okay. And when they want to cut the fat away, because they don't understand how to manipulate their macros, their macro split, what happens? They just end up losing all of that muscle that they put on that damn growth phase, because they don't understand how macro manipulation works, because they don't understand how to personalize a meal plan. You need to also understand the macro splits change based on every single phase. As you guys know, there's 4 phases. Phase 1, priming. Phase 2, depletion. Phase 3, lean growth phase. Phase 4, the optimal phase, where you're just going to be ridiculously strong. Your energy is going to be through the roof and you're going to look like a damn monster.
Okay. But in order to do that, you need to first go through the priming and the depletion phase. You need to cut away the fat. You need to maximize the insulin sensitivity. And once you get to that point, that is when you start pushing in food, carbs in specific. This is when carbs actually start working for you rather than against you. Okay. You want to implement carb cycling. So that is a high and a low day. Think about it in a logical aspect. You go to the gym, you're training, okay, you're lifting weights, your heart rate shoots through the roof. So what does your body do? It burns through calories, meaning you need more energy. You want to lift heavier, you need more carbs, you need more calories. So you're going to push that up during those training days, and you need to ensure that your meal timing is also correct. Okay. Majority of your carbs are going to come before you train and after you train, because that's when it's going to be utilized at its best, because those carbs are going to fuel your workouts. You don't want to rely on caffeine. Okay. It just gives you a little bit of energy and then you usually get a crash afterwards. And then post-workout, because you've pushed glycogen out of the muscles, which is going to be, again, the energy source, you need to refill that. And that's where things like fast digesting carbohydrates, literally syrup, Cocoa Pops. That's why you guys, if you follow my journey, you'll see that I always have Cocoa Pops after I train, when I train, right? Because it refills the glycogen and because my body just burns through it, because it uses it effectively. Someone who is not insulin sensitive, that's going to go straight to fat storage. Okay, that's going to go give you that crash immediately. Now, you want to make sure that you're doing faster cardio every single day, literally 20 minutes. That's all you need. Staying in a fasted state, because you have no more food in your system, it takes that last little bit of glycogen within the muscles and it burns through it. Again, pushing up insulin sensitivity. And because you don't have any food in your system, because your body doesn't go to that food for calories, for energy, now your body relies on the fat within your body for energy. Okay. So doing a faster walk 20 minutes is perfect. You don't need to spend 45 minutes on a damn watt bike on a treadmill. That would suck. Okay. 20 minutes is perfectly fine. Weightlifting. You want to do strength training, okay? You want to make sure that heart rate is elevated, and there's no better way to do so through strength training, through progressive overload techniques, okay? And of course, making changes to your plans every 4 to 8 weeks, okay? Progressing it. Otherwise, your body just adapts and you get used to it. Next up, you want to make sure that even on your rest days, when you're following that low day meal plan, that's where the carb cycling comes in, that you drop those carbs, okay? But you're still doing your fasted walk, you're still staying nice and active, because now that you've dropped the carbs and of course pushed the protein up and the fats, because you still need energy throughout the day, you still want your brain to function, you still want to be able to go to work. That is how you manipulate those macros. Okay. And on those recovery days, you're going to be burning through the fat storage, but still maintaining and ensuring that muscle is being built. Because active recovery days, that is where the muscle is going to be built. Let me show you exactly what this looks like. This is my client Renato. Okay. This is pre-insulin recomp, post-insulin recomp. This is what he looked like when he came to me. Man, Renato had been training for years before he came to me. He just kept looking like this, like skinny fat. Like, it's not a bad physique. You can see there's a little bit of muscle underneath, but he holds himself to a flipping high standard, right? And he wanted to take his physique to an absolute next level. He's a father. He's a businessman. He travels a shitload for work. So training is about 4 times per week, 45 minutes to an hour. So you don't need all of this crazy time. No, you just need to make sure that everything is locked in. And when I first told him, and here's the thing about Ronaldo, he was like me, right? He grew up skinny. So the thought of losing weight, having to watch that scale go down is scary. Like, that's the last thing you want to see. That's something I also had to overcome, because my entire life I had spent, dirty bulking, just shoving food down my mouth, just hoping that I would pick up size. But it was so wrong, because all I was doing was damaging my insulin sensitivity. Okay. It was only years later, after trial by error, and then literally linking up with some of the best coaches in the world, guys who have taken athletes to the Olympiad, that I realized, oh shit, look at that. That is the key. That is the secret. So this was him at 2,500 calories. That's what he was eating. Okay. I told him, listen, we're going to have to go through the primary depletion phase. He was extremely hesitant. He was like, I don't know if I want to do that. I said, you need to trust the process. This is what is going to get you ridiculous gains. This is what is going to stop those plateaus from happening. And this is finally what's going to get you to feel fully confident with the physique, because he wasn't confident here, right? He wasn't fully confident in himself. He was questioning everything that he was doing. He wasn't fully satisfied at the end of the day. And he knew that he could unlock way more of his potential. And that's why he ended up joining. So we dropped him from 204 to 176. Look at how flat he looks here. And I'll tell you why he looks flat here, because our main priority is to push glycogen out. Okay, we're going to drop the fat. And then when we go through the depletion phase, which is around about here, that's when we really cut carbs out. Okay, but strategically, we still keep carbs in at certain times when he's training, because your body needs that. We don't want to burn through the muscle tissue. Then looked very flat because there's no glycogen, his muscles aren't looking full. Then we moved straight into the lean growth phase to 199 pounds. Look at that difference. Then we stay there. And then we pushed food up all the way to 6,000 calories. 6,000 calories. And you could eat that because his body was burning through it. All of those carbs, fats, and proteins were literally being sent to the muscle for growth. Dude, look at the difference. This is the exact same weight. And all because we maximize this insulin sensitivity. And I can push that up to 7,000 calories. I can push that up to 8,000 calories. I'd say if I get to about 8,000 calories, that's when he's going to start accumulating fat, and that's when we'll have to move back into the priming phase. There we go, guys. This is exactly what the process looks like. Let me like think about it in this way, right? You get two types of cars. Now, don't get specific with me. I'm not a car person, so I'm sure this one uses premium fuel, and this one, let's say they're both using premium fuel. Okay, same gasoline gets you from point A to point B, but this is going to get you there a hell of a lot quicker. Okay, the engine within this works so well because it's been time put into that effort. You know, this is kind of just stuff. Yeah, shitty. Again, don't quote me. I'm not a car person, but same fuel, complete different outcome. It's still going to get you from point A to point B. It's going to take a hell of a lot longer, right? And it's going to be average. Also, it looks shit. Don't you want something that looks good, feels good? If you're gonna, what's going to boost your confidence more? Driving in this or driving in this? See, this is the hard, solid look. This is the skinny fat look, you know? Still not fully confident, a little bit embarrassed. Don't want to go to the beach, take your shirt off. Here, like, fuck, okay, I want to go drive around with this damn thing, you know, and I've earned it. But the moral of the story is cars, same gasoline, completely different engines. Okay. And what are the outcomes? This is an elite outcome and this is an average outcome. And you need to decide which do you want? Do you want to be elite or do you want to be average? Okay. Because if you want to be average, continue following your calorie deficit. You're going to spend the next couple of years struggling to just get there, struggling to break through that plateau, continuously questioning and asking yourself if any of this shit is even worth it. Or you can just maximize your insulin sensitivity, go through the insulin recon method, and all your troubles will go away. All of your hard work will finally pay off, and you'll feel like what you're doing is actually worth it. And you'll be motivated because you will see progress every single week. Every single one of my clients who have entered the insulin recon method see progress on a weekly basis. That's it. Okay. It's and the fact that, and a lot of you guys also, you come to me and you say, listen, yeah, I don't have the motivation. It's difficult for me to stay consistent, bro, because you formed a negative feedback loop, bro. I would be so demotivated. I would get up every day and be like, fuck that. Why do I want to go to the gym? Right? Why do I want to have my meal if it's just not going to show me any progress? Of course, it's going to lead you to give up. No. Okay, if you want the best results, do them properly. But please, guys, I hope this makes sense, and I hope you have a better understanding of why your body is not working for you. Why, even though you are in a caloric deficit, eating 2,500 calories, and you don't look anything like that jack motherfucker who is also eating 2,500 calories, probably going to the gym less than you, but looks and feels way better than you. Okay, go get that shit done. As always, love you guys. Hope this helped. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to be putting my Instagram link in the bio here. So just shoot a question over if you don't understand how this works. And of course, I'm going to send a link if you want to join the insulin recon method. Book a call with me and I'll see if we're a good fit and we'll get you insulin sensitive as hell, maximize that shit and help you pick up a ton of quality lean mass. Let's go.